Hey, welcome back, everybody. Time to meet the members of our community, because our community is your community. All organized, run by community leaders like this guy, who seems to know everybody, Mr. O.C., John Gutierrez.
Hey, everybody. Welcome again to our community podcast show powered by the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. With us today, we have another returning guest who was with us almost probably I want to say close to maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah,
right?
maybe even 3.
Maybe 3, right? When we first started the show. She's the president, CEO of GoRN and STAFFGRIT. Tons of good information we're going to share with you guys today. She has 25 years of experience in healthcare as a registered nurse. Thank you for your service. I like to tell that to our healthcare heroes, especially during the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
She's a tech creator specializing in workforce management and development through STAFFGRIT, connecting businesses with their members and the community through technology, building and streamlining ecosystems through automation and technology, connecting hospitals and facilities with nurses and staffs through your GoRN app, which we're going to talk about, right? So welcome with us today, Vanessa Benavides.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
That's an intro.
That is quite that's quite the intro.
Yes. Let's get into a little bit about what is GoRN.
So we are a platform, technology, and app. It really is a workforce management tool. I know that when we first started, we did start off a staffing company, and that's only because I always wanted to be the technology, but I wanted to make sure that I fleshed out all the functionality within the tech, and so that's why I created this mini staffing company. However, we launched literally 3 weeks before the pandemic hit here in California pretty heavy. And that is when we had Mayor Garcetti's office calling us, asking for our help. And that was quite the undertaking. Honestly, probably had no business saying yes and, doing that. But because we were so small, we had this petri dish of 105 nurses in our database. But, nurses, we want to help. And I felt this huge sense of responsibility for the community. And so we said yes. And along with Mayor Garcetti's office, we popped up 96 sites throughout LA City, LA County.
96 sites. Wow.
Yeah.
In what time frame was
4
it?
months.
In 4 months.
Yeah, we went from having 105 nurses in our database to over 15,000.
Wait. 105 nurses to 15,000 nurses.
Yeah.
Because you had to get it going for the pandemic, of course.
Yeah, and that was both clinical and non-clinical, because from that initiative, we were referred to other pretty large initiatives. And so we needed to really grow our database. And then I found that so many of our users really loved our technology. So it's kind of the word spread really quickly. And then we had tons of people coming onto our platform wanting to know if there were other opportunities like the one for LA County and LA City. And that's kind of that's how we grew. And it happened really quickly. We went from scheduling 20 shifts a week to over 1,100 just for that initiative at a 99.3 request to fill rate. And so
can I for 1 second? So I'm trying to grasp if somebody's tweeting and said, what exactly? So is it just staffing if I need a nurse, or do you schedule them, or what do you do with the nurses on GoRN?
So we have quite the robust platform. It's an A to Z. So we do everything from recruiting and onboarding to staffing, scheduling, hours tracking, geofencing, geolocation.
Explain what that is if people don't know what John knows. He knows all this stuff. Geofencing, geolocations.
Yeah, so we're able to capture and pinpoint the location of whoever we're servicing. And then you can either build a geofence, so we can let our clients know when someone goes outside of that geofence during their work time, or we can geolocate everyone and just have a sense of where everyone is located.
So, and real quick, just so everybody understands, as a nurse, you know a lot about this because you've been working at a hospital, a very well-known hospital here in Orange County. And so you had already been involved for years as a nurse and saw the challenges, right?
Absolutely. So like I said, I've been in healthcare for 25 years, but only became a nurse in 2012. But I always had a creative mind. I think in technology, even though I've never written a lick of coding in my life, but I tell everyone it's like the matrix in my head. And I had been working with an innovation incubator where I worked at St. Joseph's Hospital in Orange. And at that time,
like the one here at UCI that we're in this building where they do all that's what we're talking about here.
That's right. That's right. And at the time, HCAP scores was really high. So it was just this survey that would go out, but it would very much impact how much the hospitals were being reimbursed in
What's
revenue.
an HCAP score? You're talking again in acronyms.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
It's a hospital survey for admitted patients, and it asks them 32 questions and asks them anything from like their service, the noise, the environment, how well you educated them on discharge, and it really affected.
Which for me at most hospitals, no, bad, no, didn't tell me anything.
Yeah, but what happened, I mean, although I worked at this phenomenal cultured hospital, I loved working there, we were always short-staffed, and that rings true throughout the nation. So how are we supposed to, give great service when we don't have enough staff? And so I was actually in the back of an Uber working,
Where all great ideas come from here.
Yeah, I was like working, I think the 10th or 11th shift in a row, and finally had some me time. And I got a call from my manager who was like, "Hey, can you pick up tomorrow?" And I'm like, I've already been working 16 shifts. I'm one of those people, it's hard for me to say no.
Yes.
But I was like,
you were tired, you were burned out.
Exhausted. And I was
Yes.
like, I need a break. And the Uber driver was talking about how they were taking Uber to Uber flights. And in that moment, I knew we needed an Uber-S type platform, but for healthcare staffing.
Yeah, why not?
And
So you had the aha moment
the aha moment was then.
in the Uber
Yeah.
driver.
Yeah.
We needed Uber for nurses here.
Right.
For sure.
That's right.
And so that was in 2016, January. And
2016?
yeah.
When this whole idea came up.
But okay, so we all have these moments, and then we say, "But I don't know how to do that."
That was kind of me, right?
Yeah.
But the difference here is I had already 2 years of experience working with this Innovation Institute, really acting as a sponge, soaking up all the information in terms of how to take something to market.
Right.
And so I really tried to utilize that, and I said, you know what? This is something that should have been done eons ago.
Yeah.
Like, if you walk into a staffing hub right now at a hospital, you'll still see the whole room lined with binders and lists of registries and agencies that they have to tap into
Right.
for outsourced resources when someone calls out.
Paper, lots of paper.
Yes, tons of paper, compliance, credentials, all the things, and it's all so manual. I mean, who would like to schedule all these hundreds of shifts off of Google Sheets and, picking up the phone and calling?
And
so,
just to interrupt you real quick, what I want our listeners and viewers to understand is, and I think this is important, we share this with them, is when you're going into a hospital as a patient, you don't realize on the back end, right, from a logistics standpoint, right, how important it is that hospital, if they just had, for whatever reason, 10 nurses call in sick that day, it puts them in a really bad situation, because what if they had a crazy busy weekend in the ER, and now they got to move all these patients up to the floors. And of course, there's different categories, med surg, right? Telemetry, right? All the different units. And I know a little bit about this because obviously, as being in healthcare with OC Hospice.
right.
And it's interesting because people don't realize the logistics behind running a hospital. Everybody just thinks, oh, I'm sick, I'm going to go to the hospital. Well, no, there's a reason why you're in the ER, and they're trying to figure out your situation and either send you home or we're going to move you up to the next floor, right?
That's correct.
Because from a staffing standpoint, right, they got to manage from doctors to nurses to social workers to all these people, right? And you being in this environment as a nurse working at a hospital, realize like, wow, there needs to be a better system in place.
Can I give you one
Right?
example from my own life? Years and years ago, my late mother and father were still alive. At the end of their life, they were in ER a lot. They'd fall. They'd get sick. Something would happen. So we're always going to the ER. And one time I took my mother into ER. She had Parkinson's and some other things and lots of serious issues going on. and she'd fallen or something. We were there for 4 hours. We were there for a couple hours waiting to get into a room,
Sure.
and then we sat in the room for 4 hours. Well, I lost it, which my parents were horrified.
No,
and I went out,
not you.
I went out
Did
and started screaming. GD, get somebody in here right now. My late mother's in here. She's fading. She's been here all day. We need help. And finally a guy came up to me and he says, calm down. We only have one doctor here today.
Yep.
And I said, why didn't you tell us that? Why didn't you convey that information? And why do you only have one doctor here?
Yeah.
In an ER at a major hospital.
And a perfect example of that is a war zone, right?
Yeah.
We just watched that whole movie Love Story when they attacked Pearl Harbor, right? We were watching my wife the other day, right?
I gotta watch it. Haven't seen it.
You've never seen this movie, Pearl Harbor, right? The movie. It's so it's interesting
all these
because
famous young actors.
Yeah, exactly. So they're bringing in all these soldiers that are injured, and it's crazy because there's a scene because there's not enough doctors, not enough nurses in the hospital. There's just so many coming in that she takes her lipstick and she tells her team,
triage.
I'm gonna draw on their forehead if we're gonna put them on this room or this room. This room means they're gonna die. There's I don't have enough staff to worry about these people. These we can save. And it's just such an impactful part of the movie. Us being in healthcare, we're like, wow, that's crazy how she took her lipstick and started just their foreheads putting like a code word.
I'll give you another example where it's not a war zone. So my late aunt, my mother's sister, in her 80s, went in to have a knee replacement. And the last thing they did before they wheeled her into the operating room is somebody came with a black magic marker and said, which knee is it again?
Right.
The left one.
Yeah.
And I thought, it's in a million charts, so we've talked to a million doctors, but somebody had the wherewithal so they don't make a mistake in this assembly line that start opening up the wrong knee
and that
go.
reduced that mistake from happening by quite a bit. I can't quote you the percentage, but
it happens a lot, right? I heard of
it
that.
does. I mean, because these doctors are exhausted.
Right.
Yep.
We are all short-staffed. They're sometimes having to come in on an emergency basis, and then they stay to help out because that's what service people do.
Right.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people don't understand that something as what we would think is so simple, and you would think, like you said, it's written in the chart, how many times, or maybe even that reflective body part, you can physically tell that it's
that's the one
in trouble, but it still doesn't matter. It happens. Yeah.
But let's go back to the pandemic because it's a perfect example of a war zone, right? The country gets shut down, right? We're in this pandemic. We had never faced anything like this. And you guys are thrown into the fire, right?
We are.
Like, what was that like in that whole, I guess, year, right? Or more, 2 years?
Yeah. I will say we were a small team. I had 12 people, and then I had about 6 developers overseas. And like I said, we had just launched in our first skilled nursing facility. And it was, as much as I can say it was scary, it also felt very like just automatic for us. Like it was a sense of we were supposed to be here and do this. And they were also like, hey, we called other people that have been in business for a while that have larger staffing companies. They just didn't want to help. And I just kudos to my team because literally for the first year we were 24/7. I don't know, we must have all had serious breakdowns at least 3 times over. Right. I mean, we've never worked more in our lives, but also such a great sense of responsibility. And
that's why I introduced you as a healthcare hero at the beginning, because I know it's been 5 years since the pandemic, which is hard to believe, right?
Right.
Somebody said that the other day. It's 5 years. I'm like, what? It feels like yesterday. But you guys, and I say you guys, but also our team, right? We were all healthcare heroes, right? Because to your point, a lot of people, even in healthcare, were scared to go do these things because nobody knew what COVID was, what was going to happen. And one of the things that I heard in the industry at the time that was very interesting, and we don't realize these things, is some of these nurses were single moms. So they were scared that, hey, if I go out there and I get this virus, and I die, as a single mom, who's going to take care
Yeah.
of my child? Very interesting.
Or
you
do
know?
I bring it home?
Okay,
Exactly.
yeah. So I was one of those nurses, right? I'm a single mom of 3, and at the time, my mom was diagnosed with a glioblastoma and was given 8 to 12 months prognosis.
Oh, geez.
I knew that if we took this initiative, I would not see them for at least 4 months as I was boots on ground, just being first line,
Yeah.
putting everything together. Because from my team, I said, team, you guys stay home initially. And do everything from utilizing our technology, doing everything from, but I'll go out along with my chief operating officer, and we went out to set up these sites. But I knew I wasn't going to be able to see them. And so, and I
I'm
knew.
sorry. I'm getting
choked up listening
I'm
to
sorry.
this.
I'm getting emotional because I know your mom.
Yes.
And I know you recently lost her.
So I knew I was going to miss out on that time. But like I said, I can't express the sense of responsibility we felt. And you just said, nurses, they don't run away from the fire, we run to it.
I was struck by how many nurses were overwhelmed, ended their own lives, or doctors, or just not just quit the profession, quit life. I can't handle this anymore. I'm so stressed. I'm so pushed beyond the boundary
Right.
that they couldn't deal with that emotional crisis.
Yeah.
Well, and not only that, but it's just, to your point, here you are not wanting to risk bringing this virus home to your mom, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many more people are facing those kind of situations, whether it's to their mother or to an elderly person, or in that case, at that time, also people that had advanced, let's say, diabetes or other things, right? And so it was a very scary time. So for you guys as a team, you're what was it, 12 people,
Yeah.
to say, hey, let's go do this, that took a lot. It took a lot. It's a lot of, risk, because we didn't know what to expect from the virus, right?
Right. It was so new. And now, in hindsight, looking back, a lot of people were like, well, we know so much more now. But also, it was so dynamic. There were so many iterations, even anything about symptoms. At first, it was like, coughing,
How do you catch
respiratory.
it? How do
and
you
then
get
it
Right.
went into like, abdominal nausea, diarrhea, vomiting,
Yeah.
It morphed. And so we had to morph with it and really, ask the questions and be part of the team, be part of all the different agencies that were involved. But it was really interesting. And I tell everyone, okay, terrible reason for a pilot, right, for technology. But also, wow, we learned so much from it. We learned so much, and we created and developed so much
Are we
because
ready?
of
Are
it.
we ready more for the next? Everybody says this isn't the last. They used to call them black swans, meaning you only saw it once in your lifetime. Now the black swans seem to happen every couple of years.
Right.
Financial crisis, health crisis, all these different crises. What have we learned that will prepare us better for the next health emergency?
Okay, you're speaking to my soul right now.
Okay.
I honestly, that is why we created this technology. I'm on a mission to get
I
the
get that. I
technology
get that.
into all these people's hands, municipalities, emergency services, nonprofits, all those that really respond to these type of scenarios. Because you're right, it will happen again. And for me, it's like, look at history. Let's make sure that we're prepared. And I mean, it doesn't always have to be. I mean, it's not the sole reason why we created the technology, but very much.
I'll give you another crazy example. Years ago, now we've forgotten another black swan when New Orleans was hit by the first ever hurricane that hit directly there.
Yes. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
predicted it for 100 years when it finally happened. Kind of like they're predicting the major earthquake here for 100 years, and we keep saying, it's never going to happen. But, something that they knew was coming finally hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the city was overwhelmed. And one of the things that struck me, listening to all the breakdown of that crisis, the breakdown of the levees, the breakdown of where do we put people, all the stuff, the staffing and everything, how do we handle this, was that the different agencies weren't using the same walkie-talkie frequencies. So the cops can't talk to the fire, can't talk
And
to the
that's-
feds.
Yes, and that's what this show is about, really. It's how GoRN transitioned to STAFFGRIT, and we'll get into that now, to your point, Paul. It's how do we better communicate, right, as a whole, right? Why don't you share that perspective and what StaffGRIT is from GoRN.
Yeah, so we were able to see that firsthand, right? And I noticed that even in the same agencies, same departments, everyone works in silos.
Yeah.
And it just like, how are we expected to get anything done?
Different
when we're
procedures,
working in
different
silos?
databases, different protocols,
Yes.
different equipment.
Right. And we have the technology. It's so much like there's such a bigger picture too, even in healthcare. And I can go on for days. But in terms of StaffGRIT, I mean, I always ask myself, where can I start? Where are our pain points? How can we be helpful? And so our system is really created so that we can stop working in silos and start working together with a platform that connects us all. And it can manage, and that's why it's a workforce management tool, not just one agency, it can manage several agencies.
And in a crisis, that's when it becomes clear that they need to coordinate their efforts.
Well,
we got to have the same walkie-talkie frequency or the same database or the same...
Let me give you an analogy of the way I look at it. I ran track. In fact, we ran track in high school, right? Mm-hmm. There's a difference between saying, we're going to run the 100, ready, go, right? And you go 100 miles an hour as fast as you can and you try to win the race. There's a difference between that and saying, okay, now you're going to run the hurdles. Mm-hmm. And in the hurdles, you got to jump over these hurdles as you're running pretty much the same race. I feel like when the pandemic hit, when one of these hurricane hits, one of these earthquake hits, it's almost like, okay, now it's not just 100. Now there's hurdles, right? Mm-hmm. And the fact that we live in a society or in a state or whatever it may be that has so many regulations, right? Yeah. Those are the hurdles.
Yep.
And so now you got to go 100 miles an hour, staff this, go do that. There's a house, let's talk about the fires, right? There's fires over here. You can't rush because of the hurdles, mm-hmm. right, of all the compliance that you have to meet, right? I feel like the technology prepares us better to get over those hurdles.
And I'll go one more. It's
right?
not, you spark another analogy. So we're not just running a straight race and jumping over hurdles. We have to do it as a team. It's a relay race. I got to hand the baton to you because I can only run so long.
Exactly.
And you got to pick up.
So I feel like technology helps with that process. Wouldn't you say?
1,000%. You brought up a really important function to our technology, and that's compliance. Mm-hmm. So it's one thing to throw all these humans, workforce, people, volunteers, veterans, etc., into our system. It's another thing to understand and realize, hey, this one individual has expertise, credentials, the know-how in all these different fields. Mm-hmm. And we can utilize and therefore then broadcast, hey, we need your help. Do you have availabilities for this? It is an emergency situation. I just spoke with maybe 4 months ago with a nonprofit who said, you're meeting with me at the county level, but we're going to refer you to the state level, because if we had your system during the fires, we could have responded, one, way quicker, and two, we could have had more people, boots on ground, mm-hmm. helping. Yeah. And that is why I feel it's like a gut need.
Mm-hmm. And one hand would know what the other is doing. I mean, we all heard about one of the, maybe not silly, but one of the things that stunned everybody in the fire, that because this happened in what was usually the off season, they had turned off some of the water. They were servicing the lines, they were fixing the hydrants, they were doing things they do in the off years, in the off season. This fire hit late, and suddenly hydrants are running dry, reservoirs are, because they had turned them off. Nobody bothered to tell anybody.
That's a whole show in itself.
Yeah,
but
right. But
I definitely want to.
Craziness that can happen on an emergency.
And it goes with, again, building and streamlining ecosystems, right?
Right.
Through automation and technology, which is one of the ball points that we have here on your flyer. Share with us, because I know we only have a few minutes. Share with us how important that is for businesses listening, or they want to reach out to you, or they want to connect with you, how you can help them with this, right?
Sure. So obviously we talked through how GoRN, we got our feet wet in the healthcare space because that's what I really know. But in that Uber drive, when I thought of GoRN, I also thought of StaffGRIT. And I thought of it because I figured, hey, maybe this is where I start. But I know we're not the only industry that has these issues. This is globally. And I think in ecosystems, I think, hey, even the one individual working and specializing in one industry, a lot of us are in that, hey, I have my side hustle. I can also do this. And in thinking in terms of, we know this for a while, we're not going to have enough employees to suit many of our needs. How can we be creative and really cast that net as wide as you possibly can to really staff those initiatives? And not just that, so it kind of just evolved. And I said, okay, I want to be able to do this, help out all these other industries that also have, construction work, like we said, nonprofits, security guards, airlines. Oh my goodness, I have so much to say. But we learned so much in terms of staffing, workforce management. We can utilize that experience and put it into other industries.
Is the problem bigger now because we've all gone to a world of freelancers, where it used to have these people on staff and I pay them even if they're just sitting around a movie a studio, a construction site, a hotel. Now to save costs, we've turned everybody into freelancers and we pull them in when we need them, but the rest of the time they're on their own.
Well, the technology helps that, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So that's the thing is, hey, someone can work full time in a position, but still go and grab some sort of gig or some sort of part-time. That's the world as we know it now, but also that can contribute to making it better in terms of the need. And so it is about casting that net wider, and not just that, adding that third layer, which is the community. So it's not STAFFGRIT.
What does that mean, add the community?
Yeah, so now it's not just a B2B, but now it's business to business or employer, and then also to the community need. And so there are a lot of companies that are really wanting to tap into the community, but don't have a way to do that and still pull and resource what they need on the business level. And so our technology really allows for that to occur, and then also bring in community events, community outreach, bring the data into the system that I really do believe will be the future to how we do things. And so
I'm not sure I understand all this, John. She's going to have to come back again. This is a big picture she's talking about. This is.
I don't want to say, Paul, I mean, I'm a little mini dinosaur. You're maybe the older dinosaur. But even
I am the dinosaur.
Even people like myself that are, I'm on social media, we're on. The technology is moving so fast, right? That it's hard to keep up. I'm not going to lie. Like, to Paul's point, it's hard to keep up with. I mean, all this AI stuff that's coming out now, right? It's amazing how fast our technology is moving. But I also think it's great that you're taking that technology and implementing it in areas that are much needed, that are maybe, let's just call it what it is, outdated, right? They're outdated. These hospitals, these systems, they're outdated, and they need to be more efficient, right? And that is where you come in with that technology, whether it's a hospital or any business, and say, how can we make your business more efficient? Run smoother.
And I'll be more specific, maybe give you an example, Paul, because I want you to understand.
I need one example here.
So one of our main pushes is to get our systems into cities.
A city, okay.
Yes. So
like Irvine, where we're at.
Yeah, so let's say Irvine. Irvine, in terms of what we found in market research, all cities have their biggest pain point for their businesses and for new businesses to go into the city is, how do I get people to come work my jobs so I can be successful? Right? Do you have something in place, or how can we, make that a non-issue? And so what our technology does when working with cities is it allows them to keep compliance for business codes, all, for zoning, etc., every need for that business, along with lead tracking and touch bases and tasks and services that now everyone can see. All the different duties within, not just the silo, because right now they're working on spreadsheets. And then not just that, but
I mean,
then
there's another way to work other than a spreadsheet.
Paul was like, I understand that word
Spreadsheet, I got that one.
So where the C happens, Paul, is those businesses also want a way to reach the community.
Which they don't have any clue, I'm sorry, most of them, how to talk to the people they serve.
Right. So our system compiles all that data and can bring in all of those components within so that now, hey, either the city or the business is going to do this really great event, right? Again, here comes the spreadsheets, like, trying to find out who are all the people that make the event happen.
The vendors, the location, the permits.
All the things. I don't know how they do it. I'm just always so surprised that events do end up, coming out good. I mean, I've been to a few.
Security, the bathrooms.
Yes.
The
I just want to say thank you, Vanessa. I hope everybody's listening. All those events we do take a lot of work.
Yes.
They do take a lot of work.
In awe.
The Estrella Awards takes a lot of work.
Oh my God, it's a Hollywood production.
Yeah,
in awe, but
700 people, one event. The seating chart is a nightmare.
Yeah, I can just imagine. But do you know how much more you can do if you had technology to be like, okay, here's that template from last year.
Yeah.
Here's all the people that were involved from last year. And even if it's not more of a business, but even a broader based community outreach, like here, we can push out all this information to those people who came in last year. We can take that or create a new event. And there's ways to push that out because a lot of times what we do to reach our community, we're going onto social media handles, platforms, and you're hoping that that community member will see it.
At that moment.
In that moment, because stories go away.
Yeah.
Right. But here is something tangible that they have and that's, forever living in their platform or in their app. And it goes deeper than that because also it's information, it's knowledge. How can you give that information to your community and have it housed here and you don't have to hope that they're on your website, on your flyer, on your Instagram,
on your email newsletter, on your response that there's an emergency alert or something here.
That's right.
Text alert.
So I hope that was helpful.
It helps, but I think there's a bigger story here.
There's a lot.
Yes.
There is a lot.
And I think the most important thing here is to remember that at the end of the day, we're helping streamline communication, right? And helping people, helping businesses. Obviously, as a Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, that's our job. That's our responsibility, is to help our small businesses have better, ecosystems in place, right? Sharing with them the technology. So if you wanted to reach out to Vanessa, you can reach out to her on her Instagram, right?
Yes.
You can go to GoRN. They have their own Instagram also. And
GoRN.
GoRN, right?
APP. So GoRN app is our Instagram handle.
Okay.
Yes.
STAFFGRIT is STAFFGRIT.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we have a website. You can touch bases.
What's the website?
It's staffgrit.com.
Or you can see her in the back of an Uber riding around town, coming up with new ideas.
Or you can call me on my cell phone. I'm totally fine with
let's
that.
not give out cell phones.
I work 24/7.
You could do email. You could do an email if you want to put out an email. What's your email?
It's Benavides. So that's
Spell
a little
it.
longer. B like boy, E-N like Nancy, A-V like Victor, I-D like David, E-S like Sam at gornapp.com.
And I think that's important, that if
GoRN.
any of you are out there looking for better systems to implement into your business, just if you're struggling and you need that technology to help you, what I think is great about Vanessa is that you're not just tech savvy and you have a great tech team, but you're a compassionate, caring person because you're a nurse and you come from that background. So you come from that two world, right? Like that you can
She
share.
uses both sides of her brains,
Yes.
the empathetic side
Which
and
is
the
very-
scientific side.
Which is very rare for all of us because I am not super tech. So I congratulate you. I wish you all the best. Thank you for being on the show again after, I think, almost 3 years,
Yeah.
right? Since you were here.
Oh my gosh, thank you for
Can't be
having
3
me.
years again. The whole world will change again in 3 years. Here.
I have to come back with something new.
Yeah.
There you have it, folks. Vanessa Benavides with GoRN and STAFFGRIT. Go out and connect with her and leave us a comment if you have any questions. And again, continue to tune in every Wednesday with us here at our community podcast show powered by the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, where our community is your community.
Wow. Well, there's a powerful example of why you got to tune in each and every time to meet our community, to talk with our community, to hear from our community. Because our community is your community, right here on Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio, streaming live from our studios here at the University of California, Irvine's Beale Applied Innovation.